implying that I think that knowing is the enemy of belief. I think that when we know things, what we really are is in a trance where we've locked in the world in a certain way to save us calories, and it's going to be a lot harder for us to open that and consider new evidence. So what I'm getting at is and just like that, there is a generation that embraced the airship, and there's another generation that rejected the airship. And these dirigibles, that's the word for airships, I did not know that, they were on the scene as early as 1899. Count Ferdinand van Zeppelin began with the first, pardon me guys, I have to turn on my hotkeys. I forgot about that. Excuse me. Pardon me. Turning on my hotkeys. Turning on my hotkeys. Where are they hotkeys? Yeah, 79. This should have been done before we started. Oh shit, I can't seem to find them. Of course that would happen because I waited till we are live. Oh shit, where are they? It's called 7-9 Airships. I would like to be able to control you. Shit, sorry guys. Hotkeys. Freaking A, man. 7-9 Airships. 7-9 Airships. They're not there. Where are they? Where are they? Holy shit. Here they are. God, that took forever. By the way, chat is freaking hilarious. I was reading last night. Really funny stuff there. Next slide. Next slide, previous slide. Next slide, previous slide. I'm sorry about this, guys. Here we go. Okay, thanks for the super chat gold pull. All right, this should work now. We began a fascination with these things before the turn of the 19th century, right? We were using these airships. Military wasn't using them. They were over cities, considered safe. And we're getting to that, sorry. All these countries, it was considered the best way to go to the North Pole. The reason why they tell you now that flights cannot cross the South Pole is because it's too dangerous to be that cold. If you look at stories of World War II, you're told that the reason why Germany failed to invade Russia was because the gasoline froze. Their motor engines were not able to penetrate. But we had airship bases on the South Pole. We had airship bases up north on the North Pole. I mean, not obviously on the North Pole itself. But this was a very, very economical, controllable, excellent way of doing it. This wasn't like 1 or 2 airships, guys. Look at them. These are all different versions. Now, we're going to get to Hindenburg, but I just want you to first see, look, these are all working airships for 4 decades, 5 decades. Booking flights to Europe. American Airlines had their own fleet of them. The Graf Zeppelin was a design, much like an Etzel, right? It had its own system and was built around the world. Could dock up to anything. It was a wonder and a marvel. But in the 18th century, while dreamers were trying to create amazing things, while they were traveling to the North and quote South Pole in the most efficient way possible, there were others that were getting scared. People were growing terrified of airships. When I say that, what I mean by that is what I'm about to show you shows that there was an appetite to slow down. There was an appetite that was asking you, hey, I don't want this. Thanks for the super chat, Joseph Paul. Ferdinand Adolf Henrik August Graf von Zeppelin. First day of school must have been funny. Rocky Roberts, I'm going to have to just time you out pretty much whenever I see you. The reason why is because you're just such a dick on the comments, man. It's just like every day, dude. It's like multiple comments about what a dick you are. So just whenever I see you, I don't even look at your stuff anymore, Rocky Roberts. It's just why? Why would we want that riffraff wandering around our aisles? It's just such a freaking waste of time. Dude, I have to make it expensive for you to be such a douchebag. I mean, fuck, dude. Grow something. You've been in here for weeks telling me how much you fucking hate me. If you're gonna wander around the chat, man, at least contribute to something. Fuck. God, man. I mean, I salute you for your douchebaggery, I guess. Each of us have to find ways to strive and reach new ground. And I think that you definitely have learned to scratch the surface on the glass ceiling of douchebaggery with Rocky Roberts. You found that glass ceiling and you're hitting it and you're just not going to give up. So, way to go, buddy. Seriously. So, these airships were used in World War I. We bombed London with them very successfully. In fact, they became so successful that part of the World War I treaty was no more airships. It was, you guys can't make airships, Germany. You're making them too well. We don't want your freaking airships anymore. It became standard practice. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I've always had a suspicion about USGS, United States Geological Survey. The suspicion I've had is going back to the Queen. Going back to the Queen of England. I'm sorry, not the Queen. What I mean is the United Kingdom. But I wrote this down. I don't want you to think that I knew this. But I've always, here's what I mean. I've always found it fascinating that the United Kingdom has pretty much been in charge of all navigation maps of the ocean. And the reason why they were in charge of all navigation maps is because they wrote a piece where they said, we are going to make the most detailed map of the world that anyone's ever seen. And they promised that it would be basically, what was it, 1 inch per square mile? Yeah, 1 inch per mile. And in 1747, I'd like you to try and picture how amazing that would be. To be anyone who's trying to learn anything about everything. And to find that an encyclopedia salesman has knocked on your door and said, I have a map of the world that's the most accurate map ever created. Would you like a copy? And you're like, well, sure, how much? And the guy at the door says, it's free. And they're like, wait a minute. Surely this must be some sort of trick. And the encyclopedia salesman's like, no, we're the government and we just love you and we just really want you to have this map. We just think that if you have this map, the world will be a more peaceful place. And you, being naive back in 1747, you're like, you guys are great. I'm going to take this map. I'm going to throw away this crazy scrawlings that I had from my grandfather. This wasn't 1 inch per mile. In fact, this has a serpent guy drawn in the corner. And it's got this weird ass shit that I've never even seen. And you adopt the better system. You adopt the more intelligent choice. And overnight, everyone is now using the same map. Everyone is now charting the seas using the exact same measurement system and map. And if any of you have ever hid anything from your brother, from your parents, from your spouse, I don't know, from anything, you understand that there's a certain instrument of hiding. There is a method to it. And I'm here to tell you that if I wanted to hide an island, or if I wanted to hide a room from my very, very naive children who will listen to anything I give them no matter how absurd, I would tell them that there is no basement. There is no man cave down there. What you think is down there is an illusion. Here is the real map of the house. And you can see plainly there's the first floor, there's the second floor, and there's the attic. And that's the entire house. And because these children are so naive, they never check. They don't. Not only do they not check, they build giant industries on top of it. These airships, these systems, we opened our aperture, we saw the potential, and we shrunk back. We started to shrink back. And there was a market for us wanting to shrink back. And that market was World War II. I think what happened was we adjusted to our maps. We bought into the encyclopedia that this is what the world looks like, and we liked it. And we rejected the Gleason map. We rejected, this is the Gleason map. It's pretty famous, actually, like in the flat earth world or whatever. You could call it an azimuthal plane map, but really this was a map that when it was made, it was literally meant to be as it is. The year of this Gleason map was 1892. In 1892, we had an ice wall. This is not Antarctica, guys. Look how much landmass it is. This is an ice wall. And we got uncomfortable with that. We said, I don't like the idea that we don't know what's out there. This is very uncomfortable. Right? This is very uncomfortable is what it says. And so we look for something else to replace it. We want a complete Earth. We want a whole Earth. We want something with globalism. And I'm sorry, I blew that by showing you that. We ended up with this shaft head. This dude is Charles Doolittle Walcott. And in 1879, when we formed the USGS, people like this douchebag stepped in, and in the creation of the USGS, we actually destroyed 3 ongoing surveys that were happening in America. We were actually mapping our world 3 different ways. During that time, we created the USGS, and we eliminated all independent mapping agencies and replaced it with one. And this dude, Charles Doolittle Walcott, was the dude that made that happen. He was aligned with Carnegie. He was a paleontologist who made his money selling dinosaur bones to Yale, making a killing at it. And as he started to sell more and more bones, he started to notice there's a real market here for selling encyclopedias to children. I can knock on their door and say, I will solve the world for you. And any question that you have about what's beyond anything will no longer be a question. It will simply be known. All secrets will be revealed. And we have an appetite for that. Just like this girl, this guy. We have an appetite for knowing all things. We prefer that, in fact. We prefer it so much that we say, I don't want a Gleason map. I want this guy to tell me where everything is. Not only that, I think we should put him in charge of the Smithsonian. And they did. This guy ran the Smithsonian for 9 years. 1907, oh, I'm sorry, for 20 years. 1907 through 1927. He was selling some of the largest fossil collections ever were being exposed right then. And all of our mysteries were being solved in simple, concrete, ball earth solutions. And we loved it. We took it. We were not deceived. We were offered a choice, and we took it. And we said, I don't want these airships. And in May 3rd, 1937, I believe that what happened was we had our first massive Psyop. I'm talking about in America itself. On the Hindenburg. And the Hindenburg crashed May 3rd, 1937. And we don't know why it crashed. We actually don't know. We are telling ourselves it was spontaneous combustion. That's what we've been telling ourselves for a long time. But on May 3rd, 1937, 36 people died in an industry that had been flying across the North Pole for decades. It was normal for a Zeppelin to move from Germany to Rio de Janeiro, which, by the way, is like really not so far on a azimuthal plane Earth. On a globe, that's much more impressive, but on a Gleason map, that's not that unheard of if you think about it. We were normally making these trips back and forth until one day where all the press was invited for this one event. And in this one event, a fire broke out, and one of the most iconic disasters took place. And I believe that most of you thought what I did, that there was complete footage, there was audio, and there was video. The entire thing was filmed on camera for all of us to see. I believe that you guys think that too. So let's watch this.
Again, the rain had slacked up a little bit. The back motors of the ship are just holding it.
But as we go, please understand that there are psyops in the world. And please listen to how he is telling you how bad it's going to be before it's bad.
Just enough to keep it from... It bursts into flames. Get it started. It's fire, and it's rising. It's rising terrible. Oh my, get out of the way, please. It's burning, bursting into flames, and it's falling on the morning fast, and all the folks between it. This is terrible. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world. Oh, it's like 400 or 500 feet into the sky, and it's a terrific crash, ladies and gentlemen. The smoke and the flames now, and the flame is crashing to the ground, not quite to the mooring mast. All the humanity and all the passengers speeding around it. I can't talk to people. There's friends around there. I can't talk, ladies and gentlemen. Honest, it's just laying down massive smoking wreckage. And everybody can't hardly breathe and talk and screaming. Lady, I'm sorry. Honestly, I can hardly breathe. I'm going to step inside where I cannot see it. Charlie, that's terrible. Listen, folks, I'm going to have to stop for a minute because I've lost the voice. This is the worst thing I've ever witnessed.
I realize that is probably disturbing. If you believe the narrative, that is disturbing as fuck. If you walk into that movie theater in your mind and you think all this is true, that is horrible. In fact, you could be offended that I told you this. You could even use it to argue that I'm not compassionate. But this compassion requires a different transaction, my friends. And I've never seen a stronger psyop about anti-airships than this. Guys, we've had thousands of more people killed in deadly plane crashes than we have on airships. But we still pushed those and said no to these. And I'm going to tell you something. What you're looking at is spliced, joined footage. This is not live footage. This is the realest footage I could find for you. And it doesn't even show the crash. I know in your mind you heard that there were people jumping from the fuck, I forget what you call that. The basket. It's not the basket. The gondola. But I know you heard that. And I know that every story says that. And I know that it's completely incompassionate for me to tell a level 3 that this is bullshit. I know how that works. You know how that works. This guy, where's that fucker? This guy knows how that works. He knows what you want, meaning the collective you. He knows that you don't want to think about an ice wall. He knows you are afraid of your own airship. You are afraid of having to be in charge of your own compassion. You're afraid of our potential. I don't mean you. I'm talking about humanity as a whole, what we've been through. And I would argue that the reason why we all agreed to World War I and World War II is because we were afraid of our potential. And we decided that we would destroy ourselves here, inside the dome, instead of go out. And someone who would rise to power could feed that. Just as now there are so many people that are hungry for a wall. Donald Trump could rise and say, I can feed that. And this guy could rise and say, I can feed the end of airships. I can feed the end of mapping the world yourself. I can feed the end of you thinking that there's something to be discovered. And I can bury all your giant bones. And I can tell you how wrong we were to try something as crazy as the Hindenburg. And what's fascinating is that the reason why the Hindenburg blew up is because America would not sell them helium. That's why we chose hydrogen. This was a hydrogen. This was the hydrogen bomb in its baby infancy, guys. This is the birth of that fear technology. Unwound on all of you. And you're in this class now, which means we don't get to say, and the evil controllers are trying to blah blah, and they came in and forced us and blah blah. Stop that shit. I'm so tired of those shows that are telling you how fucking deadly everyone else is and how we're innocent. No, this is compassion level 4, man. We have this new software installed in all of us now. We're using it for our aperture, which means we have to own the fact that we embrace these stories. We embrace this cover-up because we did not want to see what's beyond that wall. We feel safer here. And we will buy any story we can to not have to go there.